Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be demonstrating my emergency power solution for my home office. This could be also used for any emergency power situation. So what I'm going to simulate here is I have everything in a power strip, and the only things I have plugged into my power strip are my printer, my laptop, my cable modem, and my router. So I'm going to unplug my power strip from the wall, and that'll simulate a power failure. Let's do that right now. Here's my plug. Let's take a look here. You'll see I no longer have any lights here. Let's go ahead and reposition these guys. There's no lights on the cable modem, and I've got nothing going on here. And I can't do anything over here. I need to print labels, I need to do something for work, and I can't work anymore. So what I have here, this is part of the power solution. I've already shown you the solar panel. If we were without power and it was during the day, what I could do is I could be running the solar panel and charging this and simultaneously using my inverter. So what I have here is a Best Tech inverter, 400 watt, continuous. So what I'm going to do is I have a 12 volt socket with little alligator clips. One of the attachments the Best Tech comes with is a cigarette lighter, so you can plug it into a cigarette lighter. And I believe actually one of them actually has clamps, but you know, we're in a hurry, so I had this available. There we go. So next thing I'm going to want to do is connect this up to my battery. This is red. My battery has a red and a plus, giving me two-factor indication of what I want to do. You always want to connect the red or the positive first, and then the ground. So we're going to connect the red. Positive, and then now the ground. Make sure those are on there fairly good. Spot where it's going to grab. Okay, so now I can give power to the inverter. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my power strip, and power strip is just really a convenient way, there's only two plugs on here, to share out the power. Now this is only 400 watts, but I'm going to run several appliances which don't have a very large power load. So now there's a little power switch on it, so I'm going to flip it on. You can hear a fan noise now. You will see now that my router is going through the firing up process. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn on the computer. And the printer. And once everything is fired up, we're gonna print out one label, make it happen. Got the computer fired up there as well, and you'll see that all of these are plugged into the power strip. We have 4 items plugged into the power strip, being the printer, laptop, cable modem, and router. And we're running off of an 18 amp hour battery. It's not going to give us a long time to work. I would say we'll probably get about an hour or two off of this at least. But if we were running solar, we'd be charging the battery and probably just pulling a little bit off of the battery in conjunction with a solar panel. So you got a box, needs a label. Looks like we are back up on the internet. Let's get into our account. So the trick will be when I fire up the printer is I'm going to pop a fuse. And that'll be the real test. So here I have that order for the box right there. Let's go by shipping. So what this would be beautiful for is that, even if the power is out at the house, there's still a signal coming in through that cable. And so you could still take advantage of the internet as long as your main cable station has power still, and they're still broadcasting a signal out to you. But lots of times power will go out at your house and you still have internet, and you can take advantage of it if you had some power. So we're about to fire up a label. There we go, got a label. So I was able to simultaneously run the laptop, be charging the laptop. I'm running a router and a cable modem and my printer, and I made a print. So that's about the greatest load that I would need to run an office. So we're going to let this run for a few minutes. I'm really curious how long, if we can get at least 5-10 minutes out of this for the video. This battery was used at Reggae on the River, and I have not charged it since I got back. So this battery has been sitting around for a month now. It's probably not advised. You should probably charge your battery about every 2 weeks, so if in an emergency situation it's ready to go. But you see here, I obviously had internet because I was able to access my account and print a label. And that's all running off the router. So this is a really good solution. It's real simple. This Best Tech 400 watt power inverter is available on Amazon. Not very expensive, and if you can catch it during the right time of year, they usually have a great sale on these. This is an 18 amp hour battery I also got off of Amazon from Universal Battery, and there's a model number there, UB12180. And these were great. These are 12 volt, 18 amp hour. These were a pretty good deal. I brought 2 of these guys with me to Reggae on the River, and I would alternate them and then have one charging on the solar panel and be using one. And I had a couple of things to keep the business in touch, and a couple other items just to make life nice while I was camping. So you can see here in an emergency that you could run for quite a while. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll edit the video from this point on, but I'm going to let this run, and I'm really curious. I'll have the video counter obviously, and I'll be able to tell how many minutes till this basically turns off. And then you need to immediately go get this back on a charger because there's a minimum battery voltage. And in another video, when I do kind of a demonstration of how the solar panel actually works, flipping the switches, what order you need to flip the switches, and charge a battery outside in an emergency situation. So these are great, and you can scale these up. There's golf cart batteries that are, let's say 6 volt golf cart batteries, and what you do is you get 2 of those, and you could, let's say, have a couple hundred amp hours, and you tie them together to make a 12 volt battery with the same capacity. So what I could also do is I have my 2 18 amp hour batteries. If I wanted to use them simultaneously and charge them simultaneously, I could connect them together and make still a 12, there's 2 ways to do it, series or parallel. One way you make it a 12 volt and you double the amp hours. The other way you keep the amp hours the same and you turn 12 volts into 24 volts. And that would be handy is, some systems, people want to run 24 volts for their solar panels. A lot of solar charge controllers will allow you to run in a 24 volt configuration and even higher. So anyway, that's enough for me talking. I'm going to let this run. I'm curious how long I can just let things, it's not going to be quite a fantastic simulation because I should really fire off a bunch of labels. But just even having everything on, let's say you wanted to enjoy just enjoy life and keep in touch with family during an extended power outage. This would allow you to charge your phone, you can use your tablets, you can use some limited lighting. There's no reason you couldn't run some LED lights off here very efficiently and for a long period of time. If you had enough battery power, there's no reason you couldn't run your refrigerator this way. I don't know that a 400 watt, you'd have to check your refrigerator, you might have to step up your inverter. Another good thing to know is that some appliances, there's two kinds of inverters. There's a simulated sine wave and there's a pure sine wave. And pure sine wave inverters are a lot more expensive, but some of your higher end electronics and even some things like microwaves would require the pure sine wave inverter, and you're going to spend a lot more money to run those electronics. I was running a couple of simple things, and I'm charging the computer here. I'm assuming that's going to be an okay way to do that. And certainly the printer seems to be running fine off of this inverter, which is not a pure sine wave. So that's enough there. We're just going to let this run, and I'll try to figure out approximately how many minutes I got out of it. We should probably, if you're going to want to run the system for an extended period of time and not ruin your batteries, I would also get a voltmeter. And if you have a voltmeter, you can make sure and look up for your battery what is the minimum voltage that you can draw your battery down to and not damage it. And that's where the difference between a standard battery and a deep cycle battery, how far you can draw it down, what percentage can you draw down before you start causing permanent battery damage. And that's an advantage of the lithium-ion batteries as well. I'm doing a demonstration right now with the sealed lead acid. These are a lot less expensive. They're very heavy. There are some very nice jump packs now that are lithium-ion, and I have a couple of very small but very powerful lithium-ion jump packs. I believe one of them is equivalent to this battery right here and substantially smaller. So you'll be amazed the power density of lithium ion versus, this is called sealed lead acid. And they call it sealed lead acid in that you don't have to do any maintenance on this. There's nowhere to have to fill water, and you can turn this and it's not going to spill. There's no acid that's going to spill. So anyway, these are what you'll find in your battery backup solutions for, let's say, a server. A server might have a couple of these in the battery backup, but you can go online on Amazon and let's say portability, wheelchairs use these. Those kind of devices will use large sealed lead acid batteries, and so you can get 2 packs, 3 packs, 4 packs at a great deal, which are intended for like a mobility scooter, but there's no reason you can't adapt them for your emergency power solution. So anyway, let me get out of the picture here. We'll let this run, and then I'll summarize at the end approximately how many minutes I got out of it before it died. Alright folks, we're going to go ahead and just get some orders done here and make this a real simulation. On as well. Okay, so we are, wow, 20 minutes in and it's still going. That's an 18 amp hour battery that's been sitting around for a month uncharged. Or I should say it was fully charged and then put away. Folks, I was thinking, I'm looking at these lights I use here for just to kind of help out the shot so I'm not sitting in the dark with these cameras. This light right here says it uses 26 watts. That's pretty efficient right there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change it up a little bit here. We'll kick it up a notch. See what we can do here. Oh, that's out. I'm sitting here in the dark, middle of the night. I need some light, right? I can't use my office just working off the monitor light. Oh. Now I did audibly hear the fan make a little bit of a change here. This has a speed sensitive fan, load sensitive fan probably I should say, in that when you turn things on and off you will hear the fan adjust temporarily. And it has a new pitch now than the original. So what I'm now doing is running my light off of that power strip instead of this power strip I have plugged into a wall behind me. So now I'm using my home office in the middle of the night with my trusty light. So there you go. So I must say this is an LED work light here, and that's why it's so efficient. You know, the old halogen versions of these, this would be a 500 watt light and there'd be no way you could do this. But this sucker's only pulling 26 watts. So I have a really bright LED light. In fact, I'm now only running my film lighting off of my battery and my inverter, which is also powering my laptop up there that I'm using to print my labels. Off my printer, off the router, off the cable modem, and all of this is running off of just a little tiny 18 amp hour 12 volt battery. So what you're able to do is going to scale up based on the amp hours. Amp hours, you think about it like that's the size of your fuel tank. So the more amp hours you have, the bigger your fuel tank. So if you want a larger fuel tank, you're going to need to go up from an 18 amp hour to a 100 amp hour, and then you'll be able to do some more impressive things and on up from there. So I don't want to give an impression that you're going to run this all day long. I think you'd probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour out of this probably, powering all of these items. And there's formulas online you can find for what you can run for how long off of how many amp hours. But this is pretty incredible because we're now probably at least around a half hour. Let's go check the timer on the camera. We are now at 26 minutes, almost now 27 minutes that we've been running the film. So I would say it's a good 20 minutes now that we've been running off of the battery probably. That's very impressive. Oh, there we go. We did it. That was too much. Let's turn off that light. Okay, it did not like that. Okay. So that was too much for it right there. Let's get our standard light from the wall back on. So what you see there is the effect of too much current draw for what's left in the battery. So I would say that was one of two things. Either the inverter temporarily couldn't pull enough juice to provide the load of firing up the printer, or the battery is now getting down to a capacity level where it can't provide the amount of current that it was being requested to provide. Like I said, 18 amp hours, let's turn that sideways. It's not a very big battery. What I was using this for was camping and using about 100 watts for extended periods of time. And you can clearly see here we're pulling more than 100 watts. So let's go ahead and try to do that print again without the light. You might have to work by flashlight or get a bigger battery. We're going to need a bigger battery. But you guys see the potential here of being able to greatly improve your life and run some of your electronics. Bam. So the light right there, the 26 watt light, was too much. You know what I need to look up is what is the you know what? We can turn it down here. So 1200 milliamps is 1.2 amps at 100 watts, 100 volts. So it's also around 100 watts, a little over 100 watts. That's what it says. So I'm going to say that the problem here is probably the battery then. Because like I said, it's been sitting for a month, and I hadn't charged it since I got back from reggae. And that was in August, beginning of August. So we're actually closer to almost a month and a half, 2 months. So keep your batteries charged. But I'm really impressed here. I'd now be able to get out a few labels at least. It's only one battery. I got another one of these downstairs. And in addition, I have the lithium-ion jump packs. So the more things you want to do, you just got to spend more money on your batteries or more money on your inverter. Alright, there you go. I got my labels done. So we'll wrap this up in about a half hour of use. Alright, so we are looking at 35 minutes. So we have 35 minutes now of total video time. I'm going to say we've ran close to a half hour of disconnected simulated power failure. So you get the point. Really what you're able to do is going to be dependent on your battery. The bigger your battery, the more money you spend on your battery, the more you're able to do. You can supplement this battery. There's no reason you couldn't have a generator, a small generator to help out and charge battery. So you run your generator during the day, and maybe at night you can run just some limited lights off of battery. The other thought is if you have solar, you can charge up a battery bank with your solar panel, and then depending on how you do the battery, like I don't have a convenient way to pass power through the wall to the outside. So I would have to physically bring in my batteries, which would be incredibly heavy unless I spent the money for lithium ion, and I'm not rich. So anyway, that would be your downfall. Maybe you could, if you had a really big battery bank, you could put it maybe on a cart of some sort, charge them outside with a generator or solar panels, and then you could physically roll them inside and connect up an inverter to them. So really, the limits on this are going to be what you're willing to spend on your batteries, and what you're willing to spend on your inverter, and what you're willing to spend to charge these over an extended period of time through a generator or a solar panel, or if you live in an area where you could be so inclined, like a wind turbine. So there's no reason in the event of a storm situation that you couldn't cobble together a solution like this using any number of means. And obviously, the larger your budget, the more your life would improve. But I'm running on the theory that, worst case scenario, I need to do an hour or two of labels. I have a combination of small batteries. I have small wattage draws, and eventually it'd be really nice to scale up. I had thoughts of maybe doing a deck. Outdoors would be really nice to do a deck with 3 panels. But I live in a condo, and they have an HOA, and every so often they have to clean everything, and I'd have to take everything apart. So I have a very limited solution, but I live in a condo, so there's only so much I can do. Anyway, hope this is going to help people. Certainly this would improve your life as far as you could at least run a small light and a radio and know what's going on if the power goes out. Because you really need some serious battery power. Those little tiny batteries don't last very long if you're running radios and flashlights and fans and things like that. So thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully you won't have to use this, but I had 3 power failures at the beginning of summer, and I said, holy smokes, I gotta print labels, and I'm out of business if I go a day or 2 days. Everybody would be so upset they didn't get their packages, it would shut me down. So I needed to have a backup solution for when my power goes out to at least run my battery, run my home office. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night. You know what? Actually, I should show the shutdown of this before we shut down. So what I'm going to do is I would say shut down all of your electronics. Shut the computer down. We'll let that shut down for a second. And then basically what we're going to do is we will kill the power strip. So let me make sure the laptop is fully. That just shut down. Okay, so power strip off, inverter off. Now when you disconnect the inverter, you're going to want to go the opposite. You know, when you connected it, it was red positive first, black negative last. So now it's the opposite. I'm going to disconnect my black, which is the negative, and now the positive. And you do that to avoid spark. So we're pretty much back to where we were. Disconnect this. Power came back on in the house. Let's connect that back into the wall. And everything will come back up, hopefully. Oop, when you turn the power strip back on. There you go. So we're all set. Power failure's over. We're going to put away our emergency power solution and go back to our life.